my papa died on November 4th, 2024. Um, and I was going to make this video sooner, back in November or December, but I really wanted to take the right moment and I wanted to think about it. My perception of death has changed over the years. It's changed seeing him pass, seeing him get sick, and um, I've made a lot of videos on this channel where I talk about things about the world or life that um, serious topics, and I tend to ramble or I draw a blank like I kind of just did because I don't plan these videos out. I don't script them. I don't practice them. I just hit record and I start talking. I know what I want to say. I know the key points, but I end up rambling. So I apologize in advance for that. But my perception of death as I've gotten older has changed. There's two things that two of my biggest fears in life is one, getting diabetes, which is a whole other thing that we can talk about, and two, losing my parents, and really losing any of my household family, which is inevitable. And that's something that I learned in the last year, seeing my papa pass. My papa was a huge part of my life, huge. Growing up, all the way up to the day he died, I loved that man. This video is not going to be all about him. It's going to be about death. But to get to the mindset I have now about it, I had to see him go. And Plato. I saw this on the internet a year or two ago, where I didn't know Plato said it, but I looked it up and he did. Plato said that death is just the separation of the soul from the body. And it's funny because I told my sister that about a year ago when I first saw it. And then months ago when Papa got sick and we knew he was going to pass, I told that to my sister again. And I said, do you remember me telling you that? And, as a kid, I thought death was just such this terrible thing. You see it in movies. And I've always had that fear of my parents passing, my mom in particular, for some reason. And I still have that. That's still a heart wrenching fear of mine. But it's different now. It's different having grown up. I'm going to be, 24 in February. I live on my own now. I support myself. So that viewpoint's changed. So I'm going to pause it. So I pause it to gather my thoughts because I don't want to sit here and ramble and draw blanks. But the perception's changed. I have that fear of my parents passing, and it's inevitable. I'm going to die. And, it's a double-edged coin. It's a double-sided coin to me because part of me feels such a relief and such, happiness that I'm going to die one day. Now, don't get worried. There's no deeper meaning behind that. But I think everyone should feel that way. I made a TikTok a few years ago where it was like, a couple years ago, it was like, men only have two moods. And it's like, you're sad, I'm going to die one day. And then you're smiling, you're happy, I'm going to die one day. But, it's true, So it's 50-50 because part of me feels so relieved and so just at peace with the thought that one day I'm going to die and my pain on this world, my suffering, all the trouble of this world, I'll be, done with. The other side terrifies me because of what's on the other side. I have full confidence that Jesus Christ walked this earth and he died for the salvation of myself and others. But, I'm so worldly and I follow the human nature of, focusing so much on this world. And honestly, there's a lot of times I prioritize worldly things over the Lord. And that terrifies me of when I die, what if I don't make it, So I believe after death, there's two things, heaven and hell. And I've always had that fear of hell, just that eternal suffering, which I think is so much worse than anything this earth could offer. So it's 50-50. Half of me feels a relief that I'm going to die one day, that I'm not going to have to fight this constant battle that is life. And again, there's no deeper meaning. I don't want to die. I'm just saying that there is an end, and that is a positive thought, in my opinion. Um, but then it's like, and even getting to the other side, what's it like? Do I, will I see people I knew that passed? Will I see a light? Will I feel my soul leave my body? Nobody knows what it's like to die. Nobody knows. I was always, when I was a teenager, I was fascinated with those videos of people that say that they died and saw the Lord, or died and saw hell, and some of them I believe, some of those testimonies I believe, and it's like nobody really knows, what it's like. I mean, I know what happens where you go after death, but what's that experience like of transcending from this life to the other? Because I don't believe that when you die, you're gone. I believe everyone who's ever died, their soul still exists, but it's no longer in this dimension. It's no longer in this life that we know now here on Earth. Um, and that's the more mature view that I've gotten as I've gotten older. Because as a kid, you see death in movies and you hear about people died, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing ever. But really, it's not. Death isn't really a bad thing. If you are saved, it's a very good thing. You're going somewhere better than you could ever imagine. Um, and that's one of the things that really brought me peace with my papa passing, was knowing that he went to be with the Lord. And um, everyone down here is suffering, and everyone down here misses him, and it's hard to lose him. But I feel so much peace knowing that he is somewhere better than I could ever imagine. Um, and I pray is that my heart and my soul is saved. And again, I have full confidence that Christ walked this earth, and I know that Christ died on the cross, and I know that the only way to heaven is through Christ. Nobody else. Nothing else. There's nothing you can do. I know that. I know that Christ is the only way to heaven. Um, but I can't help but have those doubts. And it's not, I wouldn't call it doubts. I would just say the fear of hell. I think that's more accurate. I don't have I don't have any doubts in Christ and who he was. I have the fear of hell. I think that's a better explanation. And I'm going to pause again so I can think. It's ironic because I'm sitting here drinking out of Papa's old mug. My Nana gave it to me before he got sick a couple years ago, but it still belonged to him. The last thing that my Papa ever told me, a couple days before he passed, was, "I'll see you all tomorrow." He said that to me and my whole family in the room. And there's such a deep meaning to me with that, because he that's what he would have said when he when I was staying the night at his house, or anytime he was going to bed, when he was healthy, when he was just going to bed at night, he would say, "All right, I'll see you all tomorrow," or he'd say that, those bottles just fell, or he'd say that when we were leaving the house, when we were leaving from visiting him. That's just what he said. So it's just such a symbolic and deep thing to me that he said that. That's one of the last things he told me. And I look at it deeper because when I hear that, the way I perceive it is tomorrow isn't just tomorrow, it's the other side when I see him again. So like, I'll see you tomorrow. You get what I'm saying? It's not literally tomorrow. It's when my time comes, and on the other side I see him again, and that just cut me deep. I draw these blanks because I don't. I guess what I can say is death is the separation of the soul from the body. That's all it is. it isn't the end for anyone. Um, there's two directions we go after death. Um, but that's all it is. Is I have this human body, this body that I'm living in, but it possesses my soul. Um, who I am, everything about me that makes Matt Bright who Matt Bright is in my soul, and it is in here. And one day I'm gonna die. One day you watching this video is gonna die. It's inevitable. Um, and that soul will transcend on. Um, you know, it's the circle of life. That's one thing that I thought about because we knew he was going to pass, and that really helped knowing that he was going to pass. It made it a lot easier on me, opposed to just getting the sudden news. And I thought about it. It's the circle of life. You know, I'm going to be 24. There was a time where he was 24, and if I live long enough to see it, one day I'll be the age he was when he passed, or maybe even older, or maybe even younger. But the one thing that's promised to me and to everyone is that we are going to die. And don't look at that as a negative thing. Look at that as a positive thing. If you're not right with God, get right with Him, because it's a real thing, and people don't think about it. This life is a pin the size of a when a the size of a pin. The size of when you make a dot compared to eternity, and it's inevitable. I'm gonna be gone one day. Everyone that I know, everyone that will come after me will be gone one day. Nobody escapes it. You can't. And one thing that I said, and everybody that I say this to disagrees with me, that I wish I knew how I was going to die and when I was going to die. I do, I really do, because it would give me a time frame on my life on and what I should do. Um, I'd love to know, um, but I'm just a man, and mortality nobody can beat, and I'm reading Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows right now. I've always loved, I've read that since I was a kid. I read those books. Um, and in the Deathly Hallows, Harry, spoiler alert, dies. Not really, but he dies. Um, and he says, I'm ready to die. And it says, the snitch, if you know the story, says, I open at the close. And the close is the end. Um, and I think when my time comes, I would like to know, and people always say I want to go in my sleep. Come on now, that's boring. Um, I want to go. I'd like, I think if I could pick it, I would have the doctor tell me, you've got however much time left, um, and I would like to be able to settle not just my financial and my estate and my affairs here, but settle my time on this earth, um, on my own terms, and uh, have that time to be at peace, and knowing that it's over. I don't want to die suddenly. I don't want to die. I don't want to just croak like that. I want to really, if I could pick it, that's another thing about being human, is you have no control over how or when. But just in a theoretical world, if I could choose how I go, that's how I'd like to go. I'd like to know, and I'd like to. I don't know. It's a heavy topic, but it's something that I can dive into the rabbit hole and I can think about for hours. I mean, we're at 14 minutes, and I just rambled about nonsense this whole time. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things I wanted to say that I'm leaving out. Um, And shout out to Samsung for having the feature where and this is an older tablet that I'm filming on, but the feature where you can pause and start a video back up. That is amazing. I wish Apple would bring that, where Apple would have that, because I love that feature. I loved it back when I had a Samsung phone. But another verse that I've always loved, is in Genesis, after God gives his curse to Adam. He finishes it with, "You are dust, and to dust you shall return." I love that. It really puts into perspective the temporarily in this, the temporary, the non-permanent side of humanity. That Adam was made of dust. I am just a man, and one day I will return to the ground. At least this body will, like I've already said tonight, the soul will go on. But I am just a man. I am just human, and no man escapes death. God's the only one that knows. So I don't know. I feel like I don't have anything else to say. Maybe I'll have to make a follow up to this video. But death has been, again. I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's just something I've been thinking about. How everybody reaches the finish line, but never give up until then. That's a message I can give you. Never ever give up until your time inevitably comes. And if you don't know the Lord, if you're not saved, I urge you to do so, because you never know when, and it reaches us all. And I can't believe it's 16 minutes. I feel like I've really haven't given the message I wanted to give. But maybe it'll hit me. And just know this. You are going to die one day. It's a harsh reality, but let it sink in that you are going to die one day. I am going to die one day. And that's not a bad thing. It's part of life. I learned that. And I see things differently. And in the day that my parents pass, if I'm here to see it, I hope that I can accept it by knowing that it's just life. And I having the peace and the comfort in knowing where they're going. Same as my papa and hopefully myself. So get right with God. And if you know the Lord, Christ beat death. And that's a whole other video I could talk about, because I could talk about that for hours, to what it really means in that Jesus Christ beat death. He's the only one who could. He did. And because of that, we should rejoice in death, because it's a beautiful thing for those who are saved. I love you guys. I hope that I said something that really made you think. I probably won't get many views on this. People probably won't watch to this point. I certainly wouldn't if I was watching me. But yeah, you're going to die one day. I'm going to die one day. We're all going to die one day. I don't think I have anything else to say. If you made it this far, thank you. Never, ever, ever give up. And death isn't such a bad thing. I don't have anything else to say, so I'll see you.